morning, beautiful homemakers. We are in Pamphlet 4 of the original 1922 Fascinating Womanhood pamphlets. The chapter is called The Quality That Inspires Love, and the subheading that we are beginning today is Obey Your Instincts. The way for any woman to make herself attractive to men is to obey these same instincts, if you have them. If you have curbed these instincts until they have died of discouragement, then you must let method and design take the place of instinct. And of course, these instincts have been suppressed by our schooling and by our society. However, when you're really interested in a man, these latent instincts do tend to surface just for this one particular man, and that's really the only man that you want to be this girlish with anyways. Usually, however, you will find that the instincts are still latent, and with the help of practice and encouragement will rouse themselves again. Until then, you are to use the method above outlined, the appeal to the chivalrous souls of men, the contrast of his strength and ability with your tenderness and frailty. And if this is your first video, you need to go to the playlist and listen to the pamphlets in order. Otherwise, you don't know what we're talking about. We believe we have made it sufficiently clear for you to adapt it to your own everyday life and everyday companions. We believe that with a little patience and perseverance in attempting this method, you will have little trouble in making yourself the humored and spoiled darling of almost any man you select. You must, however, drop every suggestion in speech, apparel, and manner that you are able to kill your own snakes, or to take care of your own affairs, or to disdain the guidance and care of men. We don't have too many opportunities today to put ourselves into the care of men, especially single women. But think about when you use valet parking. You're putting the care of your car into a man's hands. If you're staying at a really posh hotel with only valet parking, you cannot then drag your own luggage through the lobby. No, you must put your luggage into the care of a bellman. And you expect these men to be competent. In the same way, we need to stop taking all the burdens on our own shoulders and instead just hesitate and let the men around you pick up the burden first. Let him get the door. When you're sharing a hotel room with your husband, you may both have key cards. But are you charging ahead and opening the door for him? I sure hope not. I recently watched the behavior of women at hotels, and the feminine women expected the men to walk beside them, and often he would have his hand at her back in a guarding, protective manner as they walked. And then he would open the door and let her enter first, right? This is the natural thing for a man to do for the woman he cares for. If your man does not do this, do you then yell at him, "Why don't you ever open the door for me?" Or do you compare him to another man? "Joe always opens the door for Maria." No, both of these statement accusations create space between you two. If your darling husband does not open doors for you, then you have work to do. He is not feeling protective of you. It's up to you to win him over and bring him back to those natural instincts. And that is done by stopping the superior wife behavior that we talked about last time. And you begin to rely on him. It is thanking him for every little thing that he does for you. It is done by being joyful and light-hearted in his presence. It's done by putting down your phone and looking at him when he is talking. And if you are married, it is done by rarely rejecting his advances. No longer disdain the guidance of men. It used to be said that when a woman married, that she was putting her life into his keeping. Change your thinking away from you can do anything a man can do towards putting your life into his keeping. It's a new way of thinking for most women. So let's continue. We just read, you must, however, drop every suggestion in speech, apparel, and manner that you are able to kill your own snakes, or to take care of your own affairs, or to disdain the guidance and care of men. Now this next sentence is key. Following this method will give you that subtle quality of character, that femininity, which more than anything else attracts men to women. But don't imagine that the mere reading of this chapter, the realization of these facts, will help you any. You must practice incessantly. You must refresh yourself by reading this chapter and listen to the other videos over again every week or two. You must take yourself in hand at the end of each day and determine wherein you have failed and wherein you have succeeded in the conduct of the day. Furthermore, you simply cannot employ this method on one occasion and not upon another. You must practice it until you employ it instinctively and habitually in the presence of any and all men. Now, I have practiced this so much with my husband for the last few years that it spills over into my everyday life. And just yesterday, we were at a hotel and having breakfast, and my husband thanked the man in the breakfast room, and I thanked him a little bit later for his work. And then later, when I saw him again, his eyes lighted up when he saw me, and I found myself doing girlish things like not waving and saying hello, but waggling my fingers at him. That's something a little girl would do. Again, I don't see myself as that kind of woman that waggles her fingers at people. And yet, as I've become more feminine, here I am waggling my fingers at this man, saying, hello, I see you. And then when we checked out, he came over from the breakfast room and brought my husband and I a bottle of water for the road. Did anybody else in line get that service? No. Okay, you must practice it until you employ it instinctively and habitually in the presence of any and all men. Practice this method day after day, week after week, and month after month, until you become so irresistibly, cuddlesomely, and adorably feminine that men will fight for the chance to take care of you. This one attribute, femininity, outweighs in importance all the other qualifications of a magnetic woman combined. This next part is in caps. Without this femininity, you may be a great and powerful character, but in a man's eyes, you will not be a woman. A man isn't interested in and does not want a great and powerful character. He wants a woman. So you may be a magnetic woman in your job. That's not what a man wants at home. That's not what a man wants in a wife. He also wants you to dress appropriately. He is not looking for an SLUT, and he doesn't want his wife to have a tramp stamp. This means you're not to be out in public showing your cleavage or the roundness of your bottom. You need to keep yourself covered. Why? Because men like to chase. You need to make him wait for even a glimpse. Then when you are married, he can unwrap the gift that is you. I am not talking about dressing like a nun or in dowdy, old-fashioned clothing, but I'm telling you that a man will find a flash of leg in the slit of a skirt much more appealing than a woman in a short skirt showing all of her legs. You want to make sure that your clothing is form-fitting without being tight. You want to give that illusion of curves without showing off every curve, because that also will show off every bump. Remember, you're looking for a quality husband, not a one-night stand. So dress appropriately. A husband wants his wife to dress not provocatively, but with tailored clothes that give you a waist and that make you look respectable and adorable. You can even tailor your own clothes just with safety pins or a little bit of hand sewing. It really makes a lovely difference. I've done all my own clothes in the last year, just taking in the things I have bought in the shops. And I know that this little makeover has made a big difference. Plus, I'm only wearing clothes that are in my color, and I have discarded all of my masculine clothes. So even if you're a long-married woman, don't neglect your dress. There's a 30-year-old worker at our grocery store with special needs, and he always comes up and gives me a hug. He said, "You are always dressed so nicely." People really do notice, ladies. You must work on developing your feminine side, for this is what attracts a man. Men like women to be the opposite of them. They are not interested in dating a man, so they don't want a woman with masculine energy. Men don't wear pink, so if that's a good color on you, wear the shade of pink that looks best with your skin tone. They also don't wear soft, cuddly fabrics. Therefore, you should. Every woman needs at least one cashmere sweater. Many women cannot attract a man for the very simple reason that they dress too masculine. I meet them all the time wearing their suits. If you need a suit for work, fine. But never wear a suit anywhere else. Femininity attracts men. They want to be the boss. Hard as it is to do, you need to let them. If they ask you, "Do you like Italian food?" then you answer honestly. But if they say, "What do you want for dinner?" you don't say, "I want to go to Joe Schmo's Crab Shack." Instead, you give broad answers. "I love Italian, Mexican, Chinese. You can surprise me with your favorite restaurant." Then he has an idea of where to go, but you still haven't told him what to do. Now, if you're absolutely craving Mexican food, you simply say, "I would love to have enchiladas one day soon." If there's a particular restaurant or place you want to go, you simply say, "I'd love to go there one day." But if he then takes you elsewhere, you don't say, "I said I wanted Mexican food." It could actually be a test to see if you're too bossy or if you will follow his choices. Men want to lead, and if they are paying, it is definitely their choice. But if you feel at all uncomfortable with him and don't want to see him again, then you hand him your share of the dinner money. But if you do want to see him again, then your motto needs to be, "It's all good," even when things go wrong or aren't to your liking, like your food or you think the waitress was flirting with him, or you think she dissed you, whatever. You need to always see the best in people and situations. Always give people the benefit of the doubt that it's not about you at all, that they have something pressing in the back of their mind, and that is why they're not giving you exemplary service. See the best in people and situations, and that will draw men to you. Whereas the number one way to lose a man is to take charge or to complain. You know what the Bible says about grumblers and complainers. Practice being nice and thanking people. I recently took a friend out to a birthday lunch at our favorite outdoor little fast food restaurant. And I took a $20 bill out of my wallet and walked up to the counter to order our meal. And the bill was like $26. And I said, prices have gone up so much. And I said, oh my goodness, I have to go back to my purse and get out more money. And the person behind the counter said, oh no, just give me what you have. And they took my 20. And then the man said, it's good to see you again. And then when they called my number, I went to pick up the food, and the person who gave me my food said, oh, it's nice to see you again. Then when I left, we left about 2.5 hours later, I did what I always do. I poked my head into the kitchen window and thanked them for such a good meal. The cook already had a big grin on his face, and he nudged the other cook, a new guy. And I thanked them, and then he said, she is always so grateful. Practice, ladies. Make the world a better place with your kindness. Be feminine. You will stand out, and every man will want to get to know you. Remember to place yourself in the care of men whenever possible. I recently took my son to Washington, D.C., and as we were getting into our seats, I motioned to the gentleman on the aisle seat that we needed to scoot in, and I gave him a big, engaging smile and saw his eyes light up. And he smiled back and assisted me. And once seated, seeing that he was friendly, I introduced myself, and he immediately said that he was a homeschooling dad. And I'm like, I'm a homeschooling mom. Then I confessed my nervousness, and he distracted me with very interesting conversation upon takeoff. And again, when landing, I didn't even realize we were landing. I'm like, oh, we've landed. And he just gave me a smile. He was taking care of me. He was looking out for me. And after deplaning, he saw my son and I just standing there wondering, which direction do we go? And so he came over and gently turned me around and walked us to the correct escalators. What a gentleman. My son and I greatly enjoyed our 6-hour flight with him. I did not disdain the guidance and care of this man. So I'll say it again one more time. Without this femininity and womanly charm, you may be a great and powerful character, but in a man's eyes, you will not be a woman. For a man isn't interested and doesn't want a great and powerful character. He wants a woman. Women are constantly trying to impress men with their abilities. That's not what he's interested in. He wants a joyful wife, not a nagging, overstressed, complaining wife. So practice, ladies.